this is a lieutenant colonel comes in from Pensacola, Florida. He says, did I hear Mr. Chapman correctly say not to have assets in insurance, a personal life insurance policy? What does he think about term life policies?
Level term is an excellent policy. And decreasing term, which is a straight term policy, you can use that as well. Either of them don't accumulate large cash values. They're almost pure insurance. The reason that in commercial or stock insurance companies that there's great risk is that they're invested in the stock market and sometimes bonds and other things. And if all the markets go down, they're going to take a big hit. Northwestern Mutual Life and all the mutual companies usually buy bonds instead of bonds and stocks. So the mutual companies are safer because bonds might go down 30 or 40% and the Dow Jones might go down 80. I mean, who knows? But the reason why I say to get out of those cash values in life and universal life and annuities is because when the market goes down, they're going down. So if you get a policy that's worth $100,000 right now and the market and the Dow drops to 4,000, you're going to lose half your value. It'll be down to 50 grand. And who knows whether the insurance company will stay in business. And that money should go into gold and silver assets. But level term and decreasing term are good policies. I had an insurance license for 25 years, so I do know the insurance business.
Robert from New Hampshire comes in and says, state regulators have filed a complaint over auction rate security collapse here in New Hampshire. What is this going to do to the security industry, Mr. Chapman?
Well, I don't know what auction rate security is. I don't know what it does. If Robert could come back and give us a little idea, maybe I could deal with it. Auction rate securities.
Go ahead.
I'm listening.
He says that he says here that the State Bureau of Security Regulations filed a civil complaint on Friday last Friday, considering complaint against UBS Securities, alleging that while the financial services giant was steering bigger clients out of the auction rate security market this past winter because of signs that the stock market would possibly collapse sometime later in 2009. And it was advising New Hampshire Higher Education Loan Corporation to stay in the market. Do you need more information?
That's enough. That is enough. And what they were doing is kept trying to keep New Hampshire and others in the market because they didn't want the market to collapse, and they were trying to get other favored clients out. And UBS has had a myriad of problems. They paid enormous fines, and the state of Massachusetts was after them, and they made a deal for a number of other states, maybe all of them. And UBS had to pay them for misrepresentation. And I'm sure that the same is true with New Hampshire, and perhaps others as well. UBS is in a tough financial position. It's Union Bank Suisse is its name. It's a Swiss company. And although they do extensive business in the United States, or at least they did, there's a good chance UBS could go under. I've always thought that the Swiss government wouldn't let them go under, but I think the losses are so great that I think the Swiss government would have to let them go under. And I think that they might. And the more charges that come, the civil charges for the state to get their money back, or funds within the state to get their money back because they were not treated fairly, that could expedite the demise of UBS. But what UBS did, and many, many other brokerage firms did the same thing, they were just screwing the public. And they do it all the time. I know I was there. I watched it. I mean, I never got involved in that stuff because all I did was gold and silver stocks for 28 years. But New Hampshire will win the lawsuit, and hopefully they'll collect.
Mr. Chapman, last week you said that there was a lot of toxic bank loans, and something should be done. But in today's papers, here in the Seattle paper, it says the Federal Deposit Insurance Company has postponed its pilot sale of toxic waste because supposedly Sheila Blair, whoever she is, said that the banks have been able to raise capital without having to sell those toxic assets. Is this just more lies to sucker us into some false system?
Of course it is. They don't have anybody who'll buy them except the Fed. They must think we're stupid. And Miss Blair is the head of the FDIC, which is the group that insures your bank accounts. And they're just about broke. They're going to have to get $500 billion from the federal government, and that's just for starters. And you know what's interesting? They saved the 19 major banks in America that do 75% of the business in the country, and they let all these other smaller banks go under, which are easier to save. There's no fairness whatsoever. And it just so happens that most of those banks that were saved, the big ones, own the Federal Reserve. Need I say more?
A real quick question. Mr. Chapman, we heard on Drew's program Tuesday that the General Motors and Citigroup were taken off of the stock market index, and all of a sudden the stock market jumps up to 4-something, then falls back to 270-something. Obviously, they're playing the market. What kind of toxicity do you see with this playing of the players?
Well, they had to delist those two companies because their stocks were down so far, and we wrote all about this 45 years ago, and we were short Citigroup and J.P. Morgan Chase and General Motors and so on. The subscribers have made a fortune on the short side of the market. The short side is when you bet a stock's going to go down. And so we expected all this. Very few people did. And it's tragic, but everything is changing so fast that investors can't keep up with it. And that's why I tell you, if you're in the markets, in those policies, get out.
Lisa from Southern California comes in and says, with the fraud of the Countrywide CEO, will there be a stream of upcoming additional asset losses leading to an investment boom by basic accounting fraud, by these people calling it gains when it's really losses?
Well, there's two questions there. The first one is Mozilla guilty of fraud, and the answer is probably yes. But I don't know for sure, and some of the other offices at Countrywide. And those are civil charges, not criminal. And they want the money is what they want, and they know he's got it, so that's what they're after. And secondly, what banks and others are doing is reporting the value of securities, bonds, things on their balance sheet. And they put any value they want on it. I mean, they may as well call up Mickey Mouse and say, what is this bond worth? And so all of their balance sheets are lies. They're not solvent. This is why the banks made money in the first quarter. Wait till the mid-July, late July, when you see the second quarter come out, it'll be dismal.